to the garage. I'm Rich. So today we're going to be bench syncing the CB750 carbs. So I'll take you through the whole process. We're going to check the float heights, we're going to set the fuel mixture screws, and we're going to set the slide heights. And that's basically the bench sync. Gets it in a position where you can get the bike started, gets all the carbs operating at the same rate, and then you can vacuum sync after that once the carbs are back on the bike. So anyway, I'll take you through that process now. I'll show you what we're working with. There's a set of carbs. Got the new gaskets that have arrived, so a couple of tools that we need. We're going to need the caliper, the vernier, to check the float heights. We've got a 3mm drill bit there which we're going to use to do the bench sync. Pair of pliers, flathead screwdriver and an 8mm socket. That's basically what we need for this job. Right, let's get stuck in. Okay, so on these carbs, the PD41B carbs, they were only on the 78 and the 77 CB750 as far as I can work out. It was a real short run on these carbs. We're looking for a 14.5mm float height. So basically what we're doing is we're measuring from the gasket base, so that's the body of the carb here, to the midpoint on the carburetor. All I've done is I've just tilted the carbs forward. I've propped up on a piece of wood so that the float is resting against the float needle. Basically all we do is we take the caliper, we brace it against the gasket base, we measure each side. So you can see the caliper is pressing down the float in this carb body, so we need to raise the float inside the float bowl. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a flathead screwdriver on the tab just here, and we're going to be pulling it this way. So pull the float pin, now basically what we've got on the float, as you can see here, we've got this tang, okay, and that adjusts the height at which it depresses the pin on the top of the float pin. Okay, so that part there, just touch it up and down, that goes up and down, and this releases or does not release the fuel. So we'll depress the tab and then we'll remeasure, and it's a bit of trial and error this, you just have to keep going until you get it right. And the final check that I'll do is I'll sit these carbs with some fuel in and check for any leaks, and then fiddle with that. Float height until I get it right. Okay, let me recheck. So 14.5. Okay, now we're very, very high. So repeat the process. Okay, that's about there. Okay. So number one, float height is checked. I'll go down the bank and I'll do the rest of them. So what we'll do next is we'll take care of the fuel mixture screws and we'll get those set to stock. So the floats are set to stock, the main jets are set to stock, the slow jet is just under here, the idle jet, that's all stock. I didn't fiddle with those, I didn't pull those out because they're pressed in. So we'll sort these out now. Now, one thing to be aware of, here's an old one, is the very fine needle tip on here. Now what we don't want to do is over tighten these and snap that bit off, because that particular carb body will then be absolute junk. I've not yet found a way of getting these out successfully. I'm sure somebody can. So what we do is we're going to seat the fuel mixture screw gently until we can feel it just bite, and then we're going to pull it out 1 3/4 turns. Okay, so very simply, just screw it in gently. You can feel it bite. There we go, it's bitten. Okay, and what we're going to do now is we're going to come out 1 3/4 turns. So I do this in halves. So half, 1, 1 1/2, and 1/4. So 1 3/4 turns. Show you again on this one. So I seat it gently. There we go. So half, 1, 1 1/2, and 1/4 turn. Okay, we basically just go down the bank and we sort those out. Okay, and all that can go back together now. So fresh gaskets on the float balls. So they're in there. Number 2 is slightly different. I'll come to that in a minute. Now, of course, for number 2, you've got the accelerator pump as well. Now, what you must make sure you do whilst you're about it is install a new O-ring just here. On the float ball. Just there. That presses against that air hole there. You can see that there's a part of the port is open, and of course you've got the vacuum pump as well to fit in there. Okay, so once that's in place, this on first. And then of course we've got the accelerator pump. Okay, so that goes in here through the hole. Now normally on this side there's a rubber shoulder, but this carb doesn't have one. It's disintegrated. So we shall have to get a new one of those at some point. So that goes through that. Then you have the spring which fits on there. And then this presses down, obviously under spring tension. Bottom of the carbs all buttoned up. Okay, and the last part of this bench sink, we're going to take care of the slides. So as I've said before, these particular carbs are on a mechanical slide, so it's affected by the throttle, the twist grip on the handlebars, not by the engine vacuum. So what we need to do is we need to set each of these slides in here at the same opening, so that they're all in line. First things first, we are going to take a 3mm drill bit. We're going to use the smooth side, obviously not the cutting side, and we insert that down here just so it touches the needle. Okay, and essentially what we're going to do is we're going to tighten down the slides onto the drill bit until we can move it about and then lock it down. Now if you look at the top of the carbs here, you can see we have an adjusting nut and screw on numbers 1, 3
and 4. Number 2 being different doesn't have one. Okay, and the way we adjust number 2 is with the idle screw just here. So that's what we're going to set first. We're going to set number 2 first, and then we're going to set the rest to it. Alright. Okay, so this is the basic procedure. Stick that in. You can see it's nice and sloppy in there at the moment. And then we're going to slowly tighten down the idle screw until there's just a little bit of resistance on there. Okay? And that one's set. Basically the idle screw will move all 4 at once. So we get that one in place, and then we move down the line and we'll go to number 1. Okay, so again we'll pop that in there. I've already cracked the lock nuts. Okay, so we pop that in there, we lower the slide, till it just starts to grab. Just want a bit of resistance on there, we don't want a massive amount. Okay, and we tighten the lock up. Okay, 1 and 2 done. Moving on again, I'll show you the procedure again on number 3. Okay, so drill bit in, tighten down the screw until it just starts to grab, and lock the lock nut. And lastly, number 4, exactly the same process. And that. Lock it down until it just starts to grab. Job done. Lock the lock nut. There we go. You can make it out now. But if we look down, barrels here, all those slides are exactly the same point. So there we go. Bench sync done on the CB750 caps. So we've done the float heights, we've done the fuel mixture screws, and we set the slide heights, which is basically bench sync. These go back on the bike will fire up no problem, probably idle quite high. And then the final adjustments will be done with the vacuum gauge once the bike's running. So yeah, that's that. If you found that interesting, useful, helpful, please give me a big thumbs up, leave a comment and consider subscribing down below, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.